Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, Chapter 104. When we last left our heroes, the Edens 1 and Eden 0 were in a bit of a naval battle that did not go so well for the Zero, as we were outmatched in just about every way, until the arrival of Elsie on the Skull Ferry, who was then revealed as a member of the Erasionses Galactica, and she arrived and kind of scared away Ziggy in the Edens 1, and then offered to tell the Eden Zero crew more about Ziggy that will hopefully get into some answers about why Ziggy became the way he did. So yeah, with all that said, let's jump right on into Chapter 104, The Woman They Called Pirate. And our picture here is Homura in kind of a seductive, salacious pose with her kind of a kimono thing draped around her shoulders. Yeah. Anyway, we open in the Eden Zero bathroom with Elsie bathing. Nothing could ever beat this. Spa of Eden, my old friend. We see that Homer and Rebecca are there with her, and Elsie looks up, soaking in a warm bath, gazing at the sea of stars. I could almost cry. And we see Homer and Rebecca are both very uncomfortable with the, all-powerful pirate lady sharing the bath with them. And Rebecca looks at her, kind of like twitching. I hope you're happy, demanding a bath the second you board our ship, but why do I have to be here? Because we never met in person, and naked bonding is the best way to build a friendship. Sure, Homer. Sure, Elsie. Don't know why I said Homura there. Anyway. Besides, I see you've increased your ranks. We see Homura is very uncomfortable. I don't know if that's because of Elsie being there, or because she's not a fan of hot water, but either way. And Homura stands up. Elsie Crimson, being a warrior myself, I have heard of your fame. Your fame. Might I request the favor of a duel? And Rebecca's just shocked. Here? And Elsie's still, lounging. If you like. I'm ready whenever you are. And Rebecca looks at her. And you accept the challenge? And Homer readies her sword. These are some very, very, high fan service shots here. Some, a lot of very conspicuous bubbles right around Homer's nipples. But yeah, anyway, Homer readies her sword, Elsie just stares up at her, and Rebecca asks, could you at least wait until we're out of the bath? Elsie, there's this pause in their fight, and so Elsie asks, or they haven't started fighting yet, because Elsie is still just kind of lounging, and Elsie asks, what's wrong? Don't you want to fight me? And Homer asks, you won't stand on guard? Not necessary. This is just a duel, isn't it? And Homer looks at her, in that case, have at you! And she swings her sword at Elsie, and Elsie catches it between her toes. Wow. And I guess that's a shot for the foot fetishists in the audience, but she very, easily grabs the sword between her toes. What? She caught an ether blade with her toes? And Elsie just smiles at them. And I think Homer here is trying to pull the sword out, but the grip that Elsie has with her feet is just too strong for her. And eventually, using the sword as leverage, Elsie flings Homura to the side with just her foot. And Homura, spins and hits the ground and goes rolling. Eventually coming to a stop, a good distance away. And then Elsie, with Homura's sword, points Homura's sword in her own face. My sword? And Elsie stands over Homura. Again, a lot of fan service shots in this chapter. I'm really wondering what I'm going to be able to use for a thumbnail here without, just, fan service baiting people. But anyway, Homura looks up. When did you... And Rebecca's, frozen in shock. She's too good. And Homura, kneels. I am defeated. And Rebecca looks on. Whoa, I've never seen anyone grovel nude before. Homura, was it? You're a good fighter. And Homura just, in response, I need much training, but I shall be diligent. And Elsie turns back to Rebecca. Rebecca, would you like a duel as well? Not a chance! And then they finally get out of the bath. Still just wearing towels, so there's still some chances for some fan service scenes here, knowing Mashima. But anyway, Elsie comes out of the bath. That bath was perfect. And then she sees Shiki just curled up on the ground, leaning against the wall. If it isn't Shiki. Rebecca and Homura are less calm about seeing Shiki there. What are you doing in the changing room? How indecent. But Shiki does not respond. And I don't know, that's either just from the knowledge of seeing Ziggy as a villain, or I don't know if Elsie's already I don't think Elsie's already told them whatever she knows about Ziggy, because Rebecca said that as soon as she got on board, she asked for a bath. But anyway, because yeah, Shiki looks up. I need you to tell me about Grandpa. Now. Calm down. Ziggy's not going anywhere. And Shiki responds, he did go somewhere. Hours ago. No, he didn't. This sea is connected to everywhere in the cosmos. Now they come to the meeting room, everyone thankfully dressed. And Elsie's there with two lieutenants, it looks like. One of them, I think, is Amira's brother? Maybe? We can only see the top of his head, but he kind of reminds me of Amira's brother, who we know is spying on Elsie. Then another guy who kind of reminds me of Wise, but is not Wise, because Wise is also there. But anyway, Elsie turns to look at the shining stars. It's good to see you, shining stars. Sister looks at her. Look at you, Elsie, you're huge. And Witch, much more formal, of course. A pleasure to see you again, Lady Elsie. And Pino asks, you all know each other? To which Hermit responds, we made friends with Elsie when she was a little girl. And Wise, kind of smirks and looks at them all. Oh, right. You said you met Ziggy on his way back from his quest to find Mother. I was a refugee, made homeless by war, aimlessly wandering the cosmos when a ship rescued me. We were only together for a few weeks before we reached Granbell, but this ship's crew, Ziggy and the Four Shining Stars, were the first family I ever knew. And then she turns to Witch. I'm sorry to hear about Valkyrie. Thank you. You were on the ship too, Shiki. You were just a baby. In fact, I even changed your diapers. And Shiki kind of gets embarrassed at that. When we reached this sector, Ziggy took you in a space pod down to Granbell, leaving the ship to me. The last thing he said to me was that one day you would set out into space, and he wanted me to give the ship to you. Which does fit, because didn't we get the ship from Elsie way back when? As I recall, that's what happened, but it's been a couple of years. And Sister continues the story, and we Four Shining Stars went our separate ways. Elsie and Witch were the only ones left on board. And Witch replies, yes, we disguised the ship to exterior, and I went into sleep mode. And Happy asks, but Elsie was just a little girl back then, right? Why did Ziggy leave the ship with you? To which Elsie responds, one sec. Sorry, there's a lot of dialogue here, so my voice is getting a little sore. Yes, I was but a child, but even then I was skilled enough to challenge Valkyrie. And Homer and Rebecca are shocked. Though I imagine they'd be the least shocked, given what they just saw in the bath. But Hermit smiles, but it wasn't just that. Ziggy had seen the strength of Elsie's heart. He knew that if anyone would keep that promise, she would. And the unknown member of Elsie's crew, but that was only the beginning of Milady's legend. And then Amira's brother, she can fight, but she can't operate a machine to save her life. She never could get the hang of the ship's functions. Eventually, she ran out of provisions. She stole from every port in the cosmos, and the next thing she knew, people were calling her a pirate. Wait, that's how? And we see Elsie who's, shining, so proud of this story, and Rebecca stops her. Maybe not something to be so proud of? And then Elsie continues, then, 10-odd years later, you and I met again, Shiki. And Shiki responds, okay. But then Wise cuts in, something about that story bugs me. What happened to the space pod Ziggy used to take Shiki to Granbell? If he had a space pod, then they didn't need that convoluted scam to get Shiki off the planet. So I was thinking it'd be like an escape pod or something that can't go back into orbit. But from the look of Wise's diagram, it's something closer to the Aquawing, like a small, 1 or 2 person spaceship. But Witch continues. I do have one possible explanation for that, but it is only a theory. Sometime after disembarking on Granbell, Lord Ziggy built Pino. Then Pino used the space pod to leave Granbell. And Pino asked, you think I took the pod? Hermit responds to that. With your memories damaged, we can't be sure, but it is a strong possibility. I see. Then Pino went to Norma where Professor Wise fixed her, and somehow ended up 50 years in the past. Unless, wouldn't that be possible? Oh no, because we know that she met the old Wise, right? Because it was old Wise who fixed her up. and which the theory I was about to state would have been that she arrived there after the chronophage attack, which would explain how she was 50 years in the past. But that wouldn't quite work because, again, if she met Old Wise, you had to have left the planet and then come back after the chronophage. Right? Unless Wise... No, because Wise was on Norma. That was where Wise worked, was on Norma, because that's where Rebecca knew to find Wise when they first went to Norma in the first place. Unless she went to Norma, met Wise, left the planet when Wise did to avoid the chronophage, and then eventually lost her memory and went back to Norma somehow. I don't know. Again, a lot of mysteries around Pinot. But maybe when she lost her memory, she still had the mission to find Wise on Norma, and so she loses her memory after the attack, and then goes back to Norma post-attack, so she's then in 444, 442, whatever year that was in. I think 442. That's my working theory right now. That whatever happened for her to lose her memory, she was with Wise when he left Norma to avoid the chronophage, and then lost her memory after that. That's my working theory. But anyway, after all of that, after Rebecca's theorizing, Pinot is silent for a moment before Sister replies, "Don't worry, we'll fix your memory someday too." And then Elsie replies, but back to Ziggy. "After I gave this ship to Shiki, I went back to Granville. I wanted to visit Ziggy's grave and tell him I'd kept my promise. But when I was there, I sensed traces of ether coming from his body. It wasn't the ether that belonged to the Ziggy I knew. It was a dark, evil ether." And Shiki listened to that. "It bothered me, so I used this fairy drone to secretly monitor his remains." The drone pops up. I recognize that face from somewhere. I'm not quite sure where. Maybe it kind of reminds me of... I don't know, the first thing in my head is the human member of 119 from Fire Force. But I don't think it's that. Moscow, "Oh, a little fairy flyweight." And Shiki responds, "And that's how you showed up at just the right time. So you're saying you don't know what changed him either?" "No, I don't. But one thing is clear. That is not the old Ziggy." So yeah, here we're getting a bit of an idea of what happened. Because, I've been wondering for chapters now, how did Ziggy change after, like, he was dead between him being Shiki's kindly old grandfather, and then he wakes up, and while being offline that whole time, he somehow completely changed personalities. But it seems to be this evil ether at work. But anyway, where was I? But one thing is clear. That is not the old Ziggy. And Witch replies, "No. Sister, he was spouting some garbage about ruling... spouting some garbage about ruling humankind. Peace between humans and droids was so important to him." And then Elsie responds, "My fairy heard what Ziggy said immediately after he awakened. I'll replay it." "I will. Go see Mother." Okay, so he still has his original goal. Also, something I just thought of. If he's... So as I'm kind of been theorizing, this ether was infecting him and then changed him before he woke up, right? Which implies that he did not have this plan when he died the first time. So how does Connor fit into all this? How do the Dark Stars fit into all this? There's still a lot of questions about Ziggy, and I'm really excited to learn more. But anyway, the crew reacts to the knowledge that Ziggy's goal has not actually changed, that he still wants to see Mother. Though maybe that's in order to establish robot dominance. But anyway, after that, Elsie leaves. We see the Skull Fairy leave the Eden Zero. It kind of like flashes away in like hyperspace or something. And we hear Pinot, "Miss Elsie, she's gone." And Shiki looks out silently and he thinks back, "Shiki, I'm going after Ziggy. I owe him my life, and that's exactly why I have to stop him." This is Elsie right before she leaves. "If you're ready to do what must be done, then come with me to outer space." And Pinot turns back, "Master?" "Yeah." And then Shiki turns back to the crew. "Okay, guys, listen up. We're going to go after Grandpa, too. If he's plotting something evil, then I'm going to be the one to stop him." And Rebecca, "Yeah, Aye! Homura also concurs. I have no objections. We can't just let him go around treating humans like the enemy. And then Shiki turns back. But our real goal is to find Mother. I know what I want to wish for now. I don't know if she can do it, but Granbel's a mess. I want her to put it back the way it was. And also we see Granbel now. It looks destroyed. It looks like it's been, like, torn apart. And I don't remember that happening in the fight. Oh, wait, no, I do. It was when, that must be the effect of whatever Ziggy's, like, gravity ether, when he was, like, you know, doing all that lifting and sinking shit with the plates or whatever. So I imagine as a result of that, Granbel's a fucking disaster zone. Even, like, I thought of, like, maybe that one area was ruined, but it looks to be the entire planet. So we're going to find Mother. And when we run into Grandpa on the way there, we'll kick his butt. Rebecca just smiles. I like it. Aye, sir. Homura, I must train. And Wise just kind of smirks. So we basically have two goals. Double Muskoy! I will do whatever you ask, Lord Shiki. And Sister, like, raring to go. This is starting to get interesting. And Hermit smiles. I'll need new clothes for outer space. And Chris and Clean are also there, looking in. And Clean just silently, placidly says, they look excited. And then Pino sees something out the window. Master, I can see it! And Shiki looks at her. Dragonfall! Once we make it through there, we'll be in outer space. Let's go! And yeah, that is the end of the chapter. We are officially leaving the Sakura Cosmos. So yeah. I will say one thing before I get into the retrospective itself, something I just thought of. I was looking on the wiki earlier, and apparently I missed this, but the Eurasian States Galactica are specifically in the Sakura Cosmos? So I'm not sure if in what way the other four members of the Eurasian are going to impact the story from here on. I mean, they clearly can leave, as Elsie is currently outside, so we might find more of them just, you know, going about the arc of the story. But yeah, for now we're on a mission to find Ziggy and find Mother on the way to Ziggy to save him, stop him, whatever has to be done, has to be done. So yeah, this is... Honestly, it's a really fun chapter. I will say, again, that first section has... I say it's a lot of fan service. It's not the kind of, like, dark, you know, edgy fan service that Eden Zero likes to engage in from time to time. Not Kurenai, not Aliga kind of thing. It's much more, I guess, tame, for lack of a better word. It's not like a rape threat. It's just, you know, they're nude and they're fighting and things are almost seen. Which, me personally, I prefer to all of the gross shit that a lot of the bad guys like to get up to in this series. You know, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I've always felt that the, you know, kind of rape threat fan service is just... You know, it's dark for the sake of seeming dark, and then gets kind of... And so there are people that see anything dark as better, but it's really not. I don't know, that's really has nothing to do with this chapter, so I don't know why I went on that tangent. Anyway, we do get a chance to see just how powerful Elsie is, though, in this scene, as she completely, you know, in a single move, wipes the floor with Homura, using only 1 foot. Like, that's powerful. And makes me very glad that Elsie is on our side. So yeah, then we get the actual, not quite explanation as to what happened to Ziggy, because it's still very much shrouded in mystery. But a little bit of Elsie backstory, a little bit of her interactions with Ziggy, how she met Ziggy, Ziggy telling her to give the ship to Shiki when the time came. But also still leaving a lot of questions on the board. Like, Ziggy has supposedly been, as I said, been dead since, like, this whole corruption thing happened after he died, seemingly, and yet he very clearly prepared for this for a long time. You know, if it's true that Eden Zero is a prototype for the Eden's One, the Dark Stars prototypes for the Shining Star, or the Shining Stars prototypes for the Dark Stars, that means that this has been prepared for a long time. So there's just a lot of questions here we don't really know. But we do have an immediate goal now. Immediate like goal with stakes is not just let's go meet Ziggy, or let's go meet Mother. I mean, you know, let's go find like a kind of find not just to like find the One Piece goal, but a like an immediate. We have to do this. We have to save people. We have to have an immediate goal with stakes, in a way that let's just find Mother doesn't quite have. You know, we have to stop Ziggy, find out what happened to Ziggy, save Ziggy if possible. We've now set out our overarching goal, who are, at least for the moment, bad guy is. We'll see how much... Ziggy is still possibly being, like, brainwashed or something, so there might be something we can do to save him instead of just defeat him. But yeah, now we're at Dragonfall, and it's time to, at long last, leave the Sakura Cosmos. So, I can't wait to see us do it. And that's all I have to say for this video. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!